Hello, hello, happy Monday. Ill Monday, but nevertheless, I hope this is the start of a good week. If you are not new, welcome back. If you are new, welcome to the channel, welcome to the party. Let's have some fun. So, Titans, episode 4, Blackfire. I almost missed this episode. I forgot that it comes out on Thursdays? So, I was almost a bit behind, but I watched it Friday and then I took notes yesterday. So here we are. I found this episode to be a lot more enjoyable than the last one because of solely because of Blackfire. Like everything having to do with Starfire, Beast Boy, and Blackfire was great. I really enjoyed it. The Red Hood stuff, I was a little more detached from because there are things about that story that are still wildly unclear, and I have no idea if we're going to get a clear reasoning for why things are happening. You know what I'm saying? But let's get started because I have my notes. So we open up with Scarecrow grabbing his meds. He just grabs them off the counter like he's at a pharmacy. I don't get that. Where are the guards? Where are they? And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I guess there weren't any guards like anywhere in sight to help orchestrate the attack. Scarecrow ends up getting attacked in Arkham. He almost gets shanked, and it was, all orchestrated by Red Hood, so he could escape. But that was still weird. So we cut from that. We're back at Titan's Tower, and Superboy is trying to process the fact that Hank is dead. He's putting a lot of the blame on himself, which makes sense. He was tasked with building the deactivator, and he wasn't fast enough. Gar is trying to, calm him down, tell him, like, don't blame yourself. But I don't know, some of these things that Superboy said were a little weird. Like, he said, why don't we all just say it? If I wasn't a fucked up half-breed. And I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? I don't understand. No one has ever even alluded to having mistrust towards you or dislike because of that. So I don't know. I'm gonna put that he was projecting. And then he says, I meant the Lex side of me. It's like everyone was waiting for him to take over. Again, that feels like projection because no one has ever alluded to such a thing on this show. I mean, I know Superboy's conflicted with his identity, but it has never been properly conveyed up to this point. So, but overall, I wasn't a fan of this scene. It didn't feel like a natural conversation between Superboy and Gar. There were way too many pauses in between them. It really felt like they were acting and not like they were actually having a conversation. So that kind of took me out of the scene a little bit. I feel like if this were a real conversation, it would be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But here it was like Superboy would say something, wait 3 seconds, Gar would say something, wait 3 seconds, repeat. It didn't feel like a natural conversation. So after all that happens, Dove leaves for Paris. Nothing more to say there. I don't care. So at this point, Dick is determined to take down Jason. And he learns from Barbara Gordon that Scarecrow was attacked. And from this, he pretty much decides to go and break him out of Arkham to lure Red Hood out because he puts the pieces together, which, okay. All right. So back at Wayne Manor, Starfire's visions start to escalate. Poor Gar in this episode. Poor Gar. I mean, he's literally the punching bag in this episode. He gets shat on by Superboy, who doesn't appear after that first scene. And then Starfire beats him up like twice. I'm like, my poor baby. So the visions escalate. Starfire pretty much burns Beast Boy a little bit, and she calls her therapist. Now, here we go with this damn therapist. Here we go. Once again, he's trying to put the moves on her, and there's something really wrong. with this therapist. I don't know if he's a Tamaranian in disguise. I don't know. But something is very wrong. I don't get it. So Gar attempts to help out Corey by placing her in a little chamber so she can be in isolation when she has her next vision, and, you know, she won't hurt anyone. That doesn't end up working out. This time around, her vision shows Blackfire being held in captivity, and it's basically a psychic link between the two, and they end up at this bunker that she's being held in. And for somehow, some way, we find out Blackfire belongs to the US government. I want to know how that happened, because when we ended last season, she was out and about, you know, taking over other people's bodies and whatnot, looking for Starfire. So how do we get from that to her being in captivity? I kind of want a backstory on that, and I hope we get one, because I think that would be really interesting. So we cut back to Nightwing and Scarecrow, and, you know, they go to this cabin that Bruce used to take Dick and Jason to. This is all to lure Jason out. And we find out that Red Hood is Scarecrow's protege, which is very interesting. I really want to know what led Jason to Scarecrow. What pushed him over the edge to where he could find mentorship in Scarecrow, of all people? What is the appeal? Hopefully we get some sort of backstory on that, because it's needed. It's not even like I want it, it's needed for the story. So Red Hood is feeding Scarecrow all this information. He knows everyone in the Bat family. He knows all their identities. He knows about Jericho and Raven. I don't really know how he knows about Jericho so intimately, but okay. So we cut to Starfire and Blackfire. It's the first time they've seen each other in years. So they're having a talk, and it's interesting. I'm glad that we get this time to really learn about Blackfire and her experience on Tamaran and her treatment on Tamaran, because from her words, it's vastly different than that of Corey. And Corey has this way of blaming people for things that were kind of out of their control. Like, she blamed Jason for his death, and she blames Blackfire in this instance for her mistreatment, even though she was a child. She was a child. Like, really, Corey? Come on. But it's clear that Blackfire is really just hurt because she never felt protected or loved by her big sister, or little sister in this instance. Her little sister. And that resentment just built. And there's just a lack of trust between them. Blackfire never really felt like part of the family. She was the odd man out. And Starfire holds the claim that she really has nothing to do with, you know, Blackfire being driven to the edge. And I sort of agree with that. I mean, Blackfire made her choices. She made her choices. You can't put all of that on Starfire. There were ways that this could have been avoided. Like, come on. So Starfire, you know, this is building up. Starfire's like, look, you deserve to be in captivity for all that you've done. You killed our parents. You killed my boyfriend, Fede. And then Blackfire hits a nerve about Fede, and they get to fighting. And the fight scene was pretty cool. I liked it. It was fine. It was a little short for my liking, but it did its job. And hopefully we get to see them again with their powers, and that's going to be fun. So after that happens, the doctor who is holding Blackfire captive tells Corey and Dick that she'll pretty much be here for the rest of her life. And so this makes Corey sort of have a retrospective look, and she decides to break Blackfire out. So now I'm really intrigued. Like, what is going to happen now that Blackfire is out? Is she going to join the Titans? Is she going to betray them and do her own thing? Like, what is going to happen? I hope she joins the Titans and then betrays them instantly, or just leaves instantly. Like, don't prolong it. You know what I'm saying? So we cut back to the Red Hood stuff. This is like the final part of the episode. Red Hood finally arrives at the cabin, and him and Nightwing get to fighting. The best fight scene of the season thus far, in my opinion. They did a really good job with the lighting and the choreography. Everything was great. The slow-mo was just right. I love it. It was nice to watch. However, the dialogue in the midst of the fight is where I have the problem. Because at this point, Red Hood's motivations are still very, very, very much unclear to me. He keeps saying, after what you did to me in San Francisco. Even Scarecrow mentioned earlier, he's this way because of what you did to him in San Francisco. What the hell did Nightwing do to Jason in San Francisco? What did he do? I'm trying to think back of the last 2 seasons, and nothing that Nightwing did warrants this sort of reaction. It doesn't warrant Jason trying to kill him and dismantle the Titans. The punishment is not really fitting the crime for me. But that's just me, right? And I think what's happening here is that the writers are under the expectation or the assumption that the viewers just know this Red Hood story. They just know it. So you don't need to explain character motivations. You don't need to explain how Jason is here. None of that needs to be explained because it's the Red Hood story. Everyone should know it. And that is just poor decision making. You should never write like that. I don't care how well known the story is. There are people out there who do not know Red Hood and the history and the context. And you are trying to tell this story while leaving out significant portions of context that would help with your storytelling. You are leaving out Batman, who plays a major role in this story. He plays a major part in why Jason is doing what he's doing. He keeps mentioning Bruce, and Bruce is nowhere to be found. He's nowhere to be found. So I don't know. Everything culminates. The GCPD arrives because Barbara was tracking them from earlier in the episode. They take a shot. And after the dust clears, Red Hood is gone and Scarecrow's gone. I mean, of course Scarecrow's gone. That man was left unattended. So he's gone. And we'll see where that goes next episode. I don't know. We're 4 episodes in and Jason's motivations are extremely unclear. At least to me. But, oh well. We'll see if they say something next episode. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch you guys later this week. Bye.